A political activist and journalist, Christopher Hitchens has dedicated his talents as a writer and orator to a plethora of causes over the years. Over the last 3 decades, he's established a reputation as one of the world's leading public intellectuals with books on Britain's relationship with America, atheism, Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine. Now, in his latest book, Hitch 22, he turns the spotlight on himself with an illuminating and a confessional memoir. Well, he joins me now in the studio. And first of all, Christopher, explain the title, which is clearly an allusion, I know, to Joseph Heller's Catch-22, but how does it reflect on your life?
Well, I borrowed from my late friend Joe's much bigger and better paradox, the smaller idea that, having, as you kindly said, had quite a lot of commitments in my life and allegiances, my main allegiance now that I'm past 60 and got to the memoir stage, is to a group of people who basically deal in doubt. I mean, sometimes we're called the new atheists. It's a silly term in a way, but we're certain of one thing, which is the uncertainty principle. We're resolved for doubt. We're adamant for skepticism. And that may sound like a rather soft commitment. In fact, it's quite a hard one, because it puts us in opposition to the main enemy, and those are the people who already have all the information they need. They know it's all in one book. They know they've got the truth, thanks very much. They don't need any inquiry or investigation. The modern form of totalitarianism. And what I've tried to do and be in my career and in my writing is, whatever other blunders I may have made, consistently anti-totalitarian. So that's my little paradoxical way of phrasing it.
And why write a memoir now? Is it because there's something about your life that you felt the need to justify in print?
Well, I was asked by a publisher to consider the idea. I was just about to turn 60, and I realized that I was looking back a bit. One does. You'll find this out one day yourself. Several decades from now, you'll find it. And then I read about my own death, which is an experience not everyone has. But as Leopold Bloom says in Ulysses, it can give you a new lease on life. But it certainly concentrates the mind. It was in a catalogue of the National Portrait Gallery. So
somebody misreported?
That's a group of friends of which I used to be a part, friends of Martin Amis and one or two others. And by an accident, they transposed a caption, and I read about the late Christopher Hitchens. And it did make me think, well, no point in waiting then. The people who asked me, isn't it a bit too soon? I can now tell, well, I can't leave it too late.
Now, as I said in the introduction, you were have been a big figure on the left, going right back to your sort of student days in the late 60s. Do you still see yourself as a member of the left?
Yes, I do. I mean, I don't call myself a socialist anymore. I began to feel that that was a bit of an affectation. I didn't really believe that there was a socialist solution to the crisis of capitalism, and I don't know anyone much who does anymore. So I stopped calling myself that. I still think like a Marxist in many ways. My allegiance is, as an internationalist, usually to the left. In the case I feel you're about to ask me about, which is the liberation of Iraq.
I was going to come to that, yes.
I had a long friendship going back to the 70s with Iraqi leftists, and especially Kurdish leftists. This is their flag, in fact, in my lapel, who violently opposed the fascistic and Stalinistic synthesis that was the Saddam Hussein regime. They're still friends of mine, but now they are able to speak and organize and hold elections and win and lose them and so forth. I think that's a large improvement. It doesn't seem. Don't forget that extreme right-wingers, like Pat Buchanan in America, my brother in England, the Kissinger group of so-called realists in America, the Pope, Chirac, a lot of right-wing riffraff were completely opposed to the war.
But the majority of the left in both America and Europe were opposed to the invasion of Iraq, and you disappointed them, didn't you? And
well,
in a way,
I hope I did more than that. I mean, I have
became a bit of a pariah,
several chapters in the book which by no means defensive, saying it's actually they who are the explanation, not me. They're the ones who had demonstrations filling the streets of capital cities, in effect for keeping Saddam Hussein in power. And they're the ones who marched alongside groups like the Muslim Brotherhood, who are the ultra-right, the most reactionary group in the world. And many of the left, people like, if you can call George Galloway on the left, it's a disgrace to do it, but some of the left identify with him, openly say that they support jihadism because they think anything's better than capitalism.
But also at the same time...
This is a real betrayal, and I have 2 chapters in my book, one in defense of Salman Rushdie and one in defense of the Iraqi opposition, where I say, look, these are the people who should be asked to give an explanation.
Was this instrumental in your decision to take American citizenship? Because you have been in America for an awfully long time.
Yeah, I'd been there for a long time, and I had American children, a permanent resident permit, European Union passport. I could have gone on like that for ages, but after 9/11 I began to identify much more with the United States and feel more American, as it were, and to think that I was rather cheating on my dues. I was having it both ways, and I should make up my mind to do it. So I'm obviously an Anglo-American, but an American nonetheless.
Christopher Hitchens, thank you very much.